Super excited to join you to talk about the transaction coordination program in the office. We have Beth, who is one of our in-house transaction coordinators here with us. Join us and talk through the program. And then probably a face that you all know is Cody from, I don't know, are you in Winona today or somewhere else? But he is also helping with transaction coordination too. So Beth will be the main contact for Minnesota files, and Cody will be our Wisconsin guru. So if you have Wisconsin files, he will be the one sort of helping through that process. So, and I'm here to help too. I always want to mention that we're a team. So if Beth is overwhelmed with files on one particular day, then I can jump in and help. Cody can jump in and help. And then we also have transaction coordinators at the Woodbury Market Center that can also help to support and backfill too. So we are all working together to hopefully provide a lot of service to the Market Center. Our hope is to take a few things off of your plate, get a few hours back in your week, and to help you take your files from the executed purchase agreement to the closing table. So we will, work on your behalf, kind of partner with you, and hopefully give you some leverage to work on something else while your contracts are in that kind of pending status. So I wanted to, I'll share my screen with you. You probably have seen the first slide that I'm gonna share with you. Let me know if you can see it. Okay, so this is our first kind of 5,000-foot view of kind of what we do as the transaction coordination team. So as soon as you get an executed purchase agreement on either a buyer file or a listing file, you can go ahead and start tagging us into the loop. So we will open that file with our team, but then we will also go through the contract with a fine-tooth comb, make sure that you're not missing anything. All the check boxes are marked accordingly, signatures are in the right place, all those sort of fine details. If there's items that need to be corrected, we'll just let you know. And then we will then work to get the file opened up with the lender, the title, company of your choice. We'll also send a communication to your clients, sort of a congrats email with next steps, and then also talk to the cooperating agent. We can, if you're representing a buyer, we can give the buyer instructions on how to do earnest money if you'd like. So we could send a trust funds link. We could also give the address for the listing brokerage so that they can send a check if that's what you or your client prefers. And then at that same time, we'll get all the paperwork into command for the office compliance. So if you send us everything over, as long as it's fully executed, we will just go ahead and put it into command and work with the office to get it reviewed. And should there be any things that we miss, we'll just work to get those figured out with the office, unless it's something that we would need to get from you. So hopefully, that's not the case. The idea is to keep that as minimal as possible, so Cody doesn't have to tell us we missed something. We can do that on the front end when we're opening up the file. So we will also do the commissions tab for the agents that we're working with, so that you're getting paid accordingly. So just one note on that, we will always use the comp disclosure, the compensation disclosure, to fill out the commissions tab unless there's additional information provided to us. So if you have splits, referrals, if you're going to pay the BAC, that sort of thing, just make sure to let us know that. Otherwise, we'll go off of the information that we have, which is, based off the compensation disclosure. that you had the clients sign. So during the pending timeline, we will watch all the contingencies. So if you have an inspection, if there's a well and septic contingency, we will watch those timelines, and we will make sure that things are getting completed in a timely manner. We're not negotiating or anything like that, but we're just reminding you that inspection timeline is up, and should there be any amendments throughout that whole time period, you can just send them to us and we'll make sure they get to the lender and title company as well. We also do the appraisal. We sort of watch for the appraisal. So we'll work with the lender to make sure that the appraisal is getting scheduled, ordered, scheduled, completed in a timely manner. And should there be any issues with that, I always see ourselves as kind of a messenger. We'll let you know if something's not happening in a timely manner, so that you will know that there's, not necessarily an issue, but something to be aware of. We also will do client check-ins with your clients. So I mentioned that we'll do a congratulations email right at the beginning with the next steps. We also do a kind of countdown to closing, a 3-week, 2-week, 1-week email to your clients. And the first one is about customer service, just making sure they're having a good experience. And then the second one is mostly about utilities if they're a buyer. So reminder to change over your utilities. For sellers, it's about what stays at the property. So some of those commonly asked questions like, do the TV mounts stay or do they go? What about curtains? That sort of stuff. And then the 1 week to closing is a reminder that for the sellers, that the buyers will be doing a final walkthrough and that the home should be cleaned before closing. And for buyers, it's to change your mailing address because you're moving. So just one note, client communication is, we have a program in place that if you feel strongly that you don't want us to be communicating with your clients, I know some agents hold that pretty close, and that is just fine. We can do the rest of the transaction coordination and just eliminate that client contact portion of it if you'd prefer to control those conversations with your actual clients. So one other thing to note, when we open up the transaction, you will get a lot of calendar requests of key dates that have to do with the transaction, just automatically sent to your email and that you can accept, and then we'll go onto your calendar. So the closing date, the inspection contingency timeline, if there's well and septic, that sort of stuff. So it'll automatically be sent to you. And it also includes that 3-week, 2-week, 1-week countdown. I find that that's just super helpful to have sort of that visual on my calendar of kind of where the transactions are in terms of the life of a transaction, if you will. And then in addition to that, we will communicate with agents once a week via email of kind of where the transaction is. So it's a form email of just sort of all the details. And then if we're in the inspection time period, if we're in the appraisal time period, kind of what we're doing and when. And you can see kind of where we're at with that. Did I miss anything, Beth or Cody? Have anything to add on those items?
No.
Good. Okay. I've made this slide, and it is a lot of what we just kind of talked through, but it's the very nitty gritty of like what we will do in terms of, all the different like tasks and checklists that we follow, so to speak. So I can definitely send people a copy of this, but ideally it's very similar to what we just talked through. We'll do that file open up with all the different parties. We'll stay in communication with those parties. We'll do your command compliance commissions tab. And then we'll work with title as we get closer. I don't think I mentioned that. We'll request a closing disclosure from the title company 2 days before closing. Now, if it's a really tight closing and the lender doesn't have the final numbers to the title company, we might not see it 2 days ahead of time, but the idea is that you get a chance to look at those numbers before you're at the closing table with your client. And then one other note, after a transaction closes, we will go ahead and just put in the new address if it's a buyer client, so that your database is up to date. We'll add the anniversary date, and we'll also put them on a smart plan, just sort of automatically. If you have your own system in place and you don't want that, that's fine. Just let us know. But for those who don't, it's just a good way for you to just stay on top of mind for your clients, for that first year after you close. They're just getting a couple emails every month of just sort of helpful homeownership ideas, and it comes from you. It's from Command. It's just on a smart plan. So we just want to add that value of you staying kind of top of mind for them. Let's see, Beth and Cody. I suppose, Beth, you want to tell them if they like what they're hearing and they'd like to submit files and try us out, what they need to do?
Yeah, so all you need to do if you're interested in using our services is shoot me an email, and we need the pre-approval, earnest money receipt, purchase agreement, any addendums, amendments to the purchase agreement, your arbitration, seller's disclosures, any other disclosures such as well and septic. So pretty much anything and everything for a fully executed purchase agreement. If it's a buyer side, we're also going to need all the buyer rep docs as well, so that we can get those uploaded into Command. If you have already started a buyer opportunity, we can hop in there and still do the under contract portion of it. Reach out to lender, title, and your clients. We're very flexible and easy to work with. So, and we also need your Command login info, obviously, for us to get in there. And just to let us know up front if there's any referrals or splits or anything like that. So when we do the commissions tab, it's accurate. Other than that, like Kelly said, client contact is optional. So if you want to keep that for yourself, you sure can. Just let us know your preferences, and yeah, just reach out whenever. I'm always available Monday through Friday.
Yeah. Okay.
Can I ask a question quick?
Absolutely.
Will there be, in regards to our login for Command and everything, is there going to be a form that we need to sign? Both parties need to sign as far as privacy and everything like that?
We don't have that in place so far, because we're working directly with the Market Center. We haven't gone down that road, but I can definitely check into it.
Okay.
Okay, so the second half of our meeting today, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I think this class was titled Meet the TCs. So the idea is for us to answer any questions that you have about the program, and for you to get a chance to kind of meet us and see how we can help with your business. I know that's a lot of information, and I will for sure share those slides so that you have a copy of what we do and what you would then, in turn, still be responsible for. But if you have questions or ideas or thoughts, we'd love to hear them. So this is kind of open forum.
I think I was a transaction coordinator prior to becoming a realtor. And the thing that it does is it's a fantastic position. It's a fantastic asset to our Market Center. The one thing I want everybody to keep in mind is these people are professionals and they know what they're doing. Obviously, our Market Center wouldn't have them if they didn't, and trust them, trust their ability. They're going to put processes in place that you probably don't have in place already. So use them. It's free to you. Our Market Center has made it available. So please use them so that they're so busy, they're asking for more help.
Mhm.
Yes.
We would love that. Mhm. Anything else we could help with or kind of talk through, or different scenarios or ideas? One question that I've been getting a lot is, how are you going to keep track of everything? And so I just want to share with you that we do have a system in place that we all work off of, that helps us to track all of the paperwork. And then it also has all of the tasks that are associated with a file, as well as, communication that needs to happen. So that's kind of a standard process. So it's not just, Beth does it one way and Cody does it another way. We're all kind of working the same program. And with that, it very much allows it to not be, overwhelming idea of like, oh gosh, is my transaction just going to get lost in the shuffle? It's very systematized. And I think, some of you know me, I've worked in real estate for 6 years now. I've done several hundred transactions. Beth is really experienced too, and Cody obviously is as well. I wrote the whole program for, the tasks and the templates, and, what happens if this is part of the PA, what should happen, that sort of thing. So it all is sort of systematized, and there's not that worry of like, oh shoot, did someone not look at their checklist, their paper checklist today, and something on my file got missed. We've done, while we're all human, we've really kind of taken a step back to really systematize the process so that that sort of stuff doesn't happen. Anything else we could help with, or questions we could answer? I'm also happy to meet with anybody one-on-one to talk through, their specific business and how we could potentially, use the service to integrate together and hopefully save you a little bit of time and effort, I guess. So we could do that too. Anything more to add, Beth or Cody? Any other questions that you guys have been getting that we didn't cover so far?
I don't think so.
I think one thing that I will add is that even though we have the transaction coordination now, the brokerage processes are still remain the same as far as file reviews go. It will still be a two-step process because really what I do is I just get it ready to let legal know this one is ready to be looked at and approved for any and all legal purposes. And the hopes for this whole program is that, when the TC is looking at it, they're doing a more in-depth review of like what I was doing, all of last year, the year before, things like that. And so, but when it does get to me, the hopes would be that I just kind of can look it over once real quick and say, yep, this looks great, send it off to legal. And then Michelle says, yep, this looks great too. And then it can just hopefully really help streamline the process and have a little bit less back and forth between the agent and the brokerage getting hung up on certain minutia of the paperwork. So the brokerage processes are still the same with the two-step, but hopefully it will be a much more streamlined process with transaction coordination being involved.
Yeah. Our hope always is, if there's something, we're at least letting the agent know right away when we open up a file. So a lot of times, you know, I'm working on one where the agent didn't include a lead-based paint addendum, and we're the listing agent, so we should have included that for the buyers to review and sign. And, you know, right away when I opened up the file, I was able to let them know that. Now, you know, when I submit the file into command, that will still get sent back to us, but it's not a surprise to anybody. The agent's already working on it, and we're not, you know, 3 weeks into a transaction and all of a sudden we're looking for paperwork that should have been done, you know, at the time of the offer. You know, we can kind of tie up those loose ends pretty quickly, is the hope. Now, we are all human, and sometimes, you know, we miss things too, but the idea is that we're kind of doing that pretty thorough review. Another set of eyes never hurts right away, so that you know at least what might be coming back in terms of paperwork. And then obviously helping kind of walk through the process of the transaction, and hopefully, you know, taking some of that communication off your plate, the lender and the title company, and knowing that it's kind of moving and you only need to get involved if there's a big issue. So. Anything else that we can help with? Otherwise, I won't take up, you know, more of your time than we need to, if we don't have any more questions or thoughts or ideas. And obviously, I think on the last slide was all of our contact information. Please feel free to reach out to any of us. We're happy to answer questions. I mentioned that Beth will be the main contact for Minnesota files, and Cody will be the main contact for Wisconsin. So they'll be in the files every day. They'll be the people alerting you if you're missing something or that sort of thing. But if you have more like broad questions about the program or wanting to get started or how we could implement it for your business, please reach out to me too, so we can have those discussions on how we can best partner together. So. All right, well, I will get the slides out to everybody, but otherwise, we look forward to working with you.
Perfect. Sounds good.